Mother Nature is never wrong. It is us human beings that we don't do our responsibility to protect her. It is my role to take care of my environment so that Mother Nature cannot come and take its due course on me again. But let me just ask you a question. Is that a fault of Lake Victoria? Is it her fault? Of course not. Mother Nature is never wrong. It is us human beings that we don't do our responsibility to protect her. It is my role to take care of my environment so that Mother Nature cannot come and take its due course on me again.
Mother Nature is never wrong. Such powerful words there from the people along the Dunga Beach and Kakolombaka area that are affected by the backflow of Lake Victoria. Now, I'd like to quickly introduce my panel so we can put into perspective what the people in the video you just saw talked about. And on my extreme left is Evans Gishana, who is the Director of Climate Change, Kisumu County. Thank you very much for making time to be with us this evening. And next to him, we have Annette Juma, who's the Programs Manager to Elimisha Vijana. Next to Annette, we have Winston Atamba, who's the Director, Climate Change, Vihiga County. And then we have Roy Otieno, who's the Director of Climate Change, Homa Bay County. And then we have Karina Gomba. Karina is a climate educator and the founder of Swahili Hub. And then last but not least, we have Stephen Cadeño, who's the Executive Director, Pamoja Transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for making time to have this conversation with us tonight. So I'd like to start with Evans. From the video we've just seen, we are in Kisumu County, so it makes sense that we start setting the scene with the impacts of climate change from the people in Kisumu County. That video was taken at a few weeks back from the people in Kasiwindi region, Kakolombaka region, and they told us of the more than 300 households that had been displaced because of the flooding. What is the situation exactly, the impact of the flooding in those areas and the whole Kisumu County?
Thank you, Zainab, and thank you for having me here. I hope you are getting me.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And thank you for bringing that video so that we can see the situation. And it speaks on itself. And I think from the meteorological department, you had heard about the information that they gave some times back, that we are expecting the El Nino, which was coming. And as these rains were coming, quite a number of people may not have been ready for what was happening. And for that specific place, it is not the first time that this challenge is affecting them. We have been also having discussions as to how can this challenge be addressed. First is to sensitize people, tell people about what is likely to happen. Just the same way that we get information. So information is power, and this information has been reaching them, and that's why some of them have to go to higher points where we can be able to help them. And I think at the moment, we have a project that is likely to take place in that specific place, an evacuation center, but which will also be a center for learning. And that will be able to support this community to learn. There's also a study that has been done there by the University of Nairobi to find out how we can be able to get support for that region. But the problem is bigger. And why it's bigger, I think as we go along, we'll be able to discuss this, because there has been a discussion of construction of a dam at Kolu, where we can be able to reduce the impact of that water coming downstream.
Let me ask you this. Is the flooding in that area, is it a climate problem or is it a human-induced problem?
It is a climate, it is both. It is both. It's both the human-induced problem as well as a climate problem. And from the human point of view, when we have challenges in terms of when people cut trees on the upper side, we are likely to have a problem of what we saw at Ombaka, because we expect that this education on how to reduce the impacts of flooding should be cutting across. Let's say, for example, the Nandi County, which we are bordering up there. If the forestation, if they are deforesting the cover, we are likely to have that challenge. If we are people who are also not keen on ensuring that we plant adequate trees along, we are likely to have a problem. So that's human-induced.
Okay. We'll come back to you so you can tell us a little bit more of how you're trying to save the lives of the people in that area. Annette, you're a young person and you work with young people. And one criticism that young people often have for people in leadership, and you're sitting up there with 3 county directors of climate change, is that they don't involve young people. How involved are you in the climate action on the grassroots? What kind of activities do you see young people involving themselves in?
Okay, thank you so much, Zainab. So what I'd say is that I would like to commend Kisumu youth, because we have a lot of youth who are having initiatives geared towards climate action and climate change. For instance, we have youths like Ramina Polet, who is having this campaign on Let Lake Victoria Breathe Again. We also have the Osiepe Sango at Usonahi. We have youths who are practically doing important initiatives geared toward protecting the environment through waste management. We have youth also engaging in smart farming and also kitchen gardening to be able to look at the agricultural aspect and the effects of climate change in agriculture. So as at now, what I can say is that so far Kisumu youths are doing great. And I think the only problem that I can say there is that the issue of funding. Because, we have the issue of funding. Because, we have initiatives, but sometimes what stops Kisumu youth from continuing or sustaining their initiatives is funding. Because when you lack funding, in as much as there's that passion and that drive towards the work, but sometimes you need funding to be able to implement these great ideas that Kisumu youth have. So I would say as at now, they are so much involved, self-involved, and also I can also say that there's collaboration by the county government of Kisumu, but the problem is mostly funding, and I think also getting that platform for these youths to be greatly involved in the process.
What do you do yourself as an individual? What is your climate action in the grassroots? You as an individual, you as Annette.
Okay, as Annette, and also as Annette, I'm here as Tuelimishe Vijana. Some of the program areas we have is on climate change, and one of the most important things we look at is policy advocacy. So as Tuelimishe Vijana, we look at the policies and how they are being implemented, and sometimes questioning these policies. And also, as you understand, it's also important to take part in public participation during the county integrated development planning. So I think as a youth, that is something we do as a CBO and also as an individual who is passionate about climate change. And sometimes we take part in cleanups to be able to ensure that Kisumu is having a waste management strategy that is sustainable. It's not yet there, but it's something we are passionate about, and I'm also passionate about, and it's something we are trying to do.
We'll come back to you, Annette. There's something wrong with your microphone. Someone will come and get it, so just stay in your seat. Someone will come and get it from you. Winston, you're from Vihiga County, which is just neighboring Kisumu County. We've seen some of the impacts that Kisumu suffers is flooding. What are some of the impacts that Vihiga is suffering? Is your story similar to Kisumu?
Yeah, thank you very much, Zainab. Vihiga County residents, just like many other residents within the Lake region, have continued to suffer the brunt of impacts of climate change. And these are felt through sectors such as agriculture. In agriculture, we have seen increased prevalence of insect pests and diseases, such as fall armyworms, locusts, and many more, that are largely affecting local farmers, especially leading to reduced agricultural productivity. When you come to a sector such as health, we have also seen an upsurge in climate-related diseases such as mosquitoes, which spread malaria. We have seen diarrheal diseases when floods occur. When it comes to disasters, we have seen increased frequency and intensity of climate-related disasters such as floods in low-lying areas. We have seen landslides in areas such as Hamisi Sub-County, Tambua Ward. We have seen landslides in Mabungo Ward. We have seen many more impacts in disaster risk reduction. In infrastructure, for example, we saw flooding of urban areas just when we had El Nino. These urban floods, unfortunately, affects most the urban poor because they stay mostly in areas that are most vulnerable to the impacts of flooding. And we also saw destruction of public infrastructure such as roads, bridges, which to an extent also disrupts sectors such as education when school children are unable to reach schools due to poor accessibility and also the diseases that I talked about. So climate change impacts are very much interlinked from sector to sector. And as I said, the poor, or let me say the most vulnerable, the low-income segments of the society are the most affected because they have few options of coping with this. Those who have some income can be able to buy alternative means of coping, but then the lowest incomes are the most hard hit. Thank you.
Winston, you mentioned malaria and mosquitoes, and there's concerns that mosquitoes are adapting, and they are now moving to places where they've never been before. We've had stories of mosquitoes and malaria being reported in Baringo, places that had never seen malaria before. And we have stories again of new breeds of mosquitoes that are medication resistant being discovered in parts up north in Kenya, and the government is trying to contain that. So I'd like to move on to Roy and pick up from this conversation, this point of malaria. One of the criticisms that government often faces when it comes to this climate conversations is that we keep it very silo-like. Like the State Department of Climate Change will handle that only and not necessarily involving other ministries. So how do you interact with the rest of the ministries in your county, given that climate change is an issue that cuts across every single sector of the economy?
Thank you. Thank you, Zainab. Climate change and its impacts are being felt in... Sorry. Thank you, Zainab. Climate change and its impacts are being experienced and felt in Homa Bay in a big way. From the video that has just been shown, the same story happens in Homa Bay County in several locations, not just one area. And the effects of that on the lives and livelihoods of people is immense. The losses associated with such kind of events are immense. And we recognize that these are events that are caused by our own activities, such as use of energy, destruction of the environment, mining, such that all those activities that make us vulnerable to things like flooding. Now back to the inquiry you're making, how we engage ourselves and the communities, and even the national government and other bodies, is that in Homa Bay County, we've tried as much as possible to mainstream climate actions into all our departments, the 10 of them, the 10 sectors that we have. And this we've ensured happens at the very basic stage, that is at the planning stage. And as you know, the basic planning tool that counties have currently is the CIDP, the County Integrated Development Plans. Currently, the period of the CIDPs is between 2023 and 2027. So in Homa Bay County, during the preparation of that CIDP, we've ensured that climate change issues are mainstreamed in all the sectors in terms of identifying priorities to deal with climate change. And we don't just stop there. We have allocated resources in those sectors to deal with climate change, including in the health sector. where issues to do with climate-related diseases like malaria, the waterborne diseases, we put in plans to make sure that these diseases are responded to, and we've also put in place measures to raise additional resources, just apart from what we receive from the exchequer and all the resources that we may also generate.
And the CIDP is based on the needs of the people on the ground.
Yes,
You've
the
done
CIDP.
Public participation.
Yes, the CIDP is actually a product of public participation, because before it was approved, we went into the villages, into the communities, into the village, in the sub-locations, the locations, in the wards, sub-county, until up the county level. And in Homa Bay County, I think we are one of the counties that has a very robust framework of public participation in engaging the public in any issue, not only on climate change, but other issues around development and governance.
So I'd like to pick up on that point and just throw this back to my audience here. How many of you have ever attended a public participation on climate change? Just raise your hand. Raise your hand. Be proud of your answer. Nyosha tu mkono vizuri. How many of you? This is less than a quarter. You have all attended. The vast majority have not attended public participation. Maybe just ask somebody, why have you not attended? Since you're closest.
Okay. The reason I haven't attended the climate change is because I was still a student, and most of the meetings or the occasions were being done when I was in school. But since that I was out, now I decided let me come and participate in this occasion. Thank you.
So we hope to see you attending more public participations. Great. So, Karina, you see that's a great point to start on, given that you're a climate educator. Given that you're a climate educator, you saw less than half the room, less than a quarter the room has attended public participation. So when you do your public education, what do you tell them about this public participation? How do they get to attend?
Okay, thank you, Zainab. Swahili Climate Hub is a platform that breaks down complex climate information to easier and understandable information. So I write comic books, articles, and blogs. So I'm just trying to make it to be interesting for young people to get to know what climate change is. Yeah.
You've not covered any, in your comics, you've not covered any bits about this is how you attend public participation?
No.
Have you attended public participation yourself?
No.
You're from Kakamega County, right?
No.
Which county are you from?
I'm a resident of Kisumu, but I work with Kakamega County.
Have you attended any public participation in either of those two counties? Or any county for that matter?
Okay, to be sincere, no.
Now, since you know your county director of climate change is listening, so maybe you can tell us what are some of the challenges you've faced in trying to how would you like them to package the information in a way that would make you as a young person want to attend this public participation?
I want to have inclusion. I want to see farmers, I want to see fishermen. I don't just want to see leaders only or board members being engaged, but I'll be so glad when there is more inclusion, PWD, the farmers, and the fishermen too, because they're the ones who are experiencing this. And let me give an example. For example, decades back, we had leaders and individuals in our communities who had the indigenous knowledge of reading and interpreting weather patterns. So if we can engage them in this, not seeing that their information is sort of backward. Yeah, so when we'll engage more inclusivity, then I'll definitely attend and mobilize others to attend.
I'm sure the 3 county directors up there with you have heard you, and maybe they've taken notes on how to get more young people attending this public participation. Now, Stephen, the work that you do as a Pamoja Transformation, you work a lot in the grassroots, and you work across the entire Western region. How do you deal with issues where you want people to attend this, maybe a baraza about climate change, and then they don't show up?
Very interesting. Sorry, thanks. Why are all the mics protesting?
The mics don't like you. The one on your left is working.
Yeah, okay. So I say that this is a very interesting question on how to get people to participate where they actually do not want. And this, I say it is interesting because there is a culture that has been created by different development partners, including ourselves, coming from the civil society organizations, where public participation is induced. Induced in the sense that there are certain expectations. Yeah, kama hakuna chai, na chai si chai tu, ile ya Kericho, chai ya mfuko, so I have to sign. So that presents one major challenge, and I would bet probably what even the counties face. Because you can imagine across different departments that counties have different needs for public participation, either on policy or just on sharing certain pieces of information that the communities or the citizens need to give their feedback, and they are not able to do that. I would imagine even budgeting for that is not possible. Sometimes for us, within certain projects, you can be able to budget for that, so it's not possible. However, there are different alternatives or options for making sure that people be able to participate. And I think one is what Karina said, that making things inclusive and making it people-centered. The mistake that we often make, including government sometimes in my view, is we center things on leaders and government as opposed to the people, so that the people do not relate with it, they do not see themselves as being affected and also being able to benefit from some of those policy frameworks or public participation processes. And so based on that, for us as organizations, what we do is we work through different structures. And in this particular context, currently we're already working with the Kisumu County, and we support the establishment of the community climate change committees. So those kind of structures make it more practical and seamless for you to be able to engage people on different kind of topical issues. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like somebody who said they've attended a public participation to come up here. Just have one quick question for you. You said you've attended public participation. Come. Maybe you can tell us, when you attended that public participation, had you been incentivized to attend the public participation? And were your views, at the end of it all, were your views heard? First tell us who you are.
I'm Fulgence Richard Rabat. I'm a photo documentarist and a climate activist from Kisumu, Kenya, and the communication assistant at the county government of Kisumu. I was never enticed to attend any public participation. No. I went there as a climate activist, and because I wanted to learn more about mitigating climate and solving climate-related issues in my county. And the views were, the people around are ignorant. Just as you said, they want the thing we call bread. And if there's no bread, then I can't listen to you. But either way, these things are brought because of, climate change is in the mindset. So if I have the mindset of, if I'm not paid, I can't go there, then there's nothing you're solving. And that's why I think climate education is much important. Thank you.
So, from the young people in the room, you've seen the vast majority. Come, I'm not done with you yet. The vast majority of the people in the room who are young people said they've never attended a public participation. And you attended because you're a climate activist. So as a climate activist, how do you get young people involved in this public participation so that they know what climate activities are happening in their area and how do they get involved in them?
In my let me, just as you are saying, the young people, this is a new generation. It's a different generation from how Director Gishana was raised and how the old people are raised. These youths need to be approached in the way they want. Like they want talent, they want to be, and that's why there's an organization that is known as Climate Live, which uses art and talent and everything that is talent related it's a way of enticing them to come. Because if my best musician is singing climate, why can't I just go there as a concert? Then after attending that, I'll learn it through the music. Around you can see there are arts around. There's a trees there. I'm an artist basically. I'll come and say, wow, this drawing is nice. What does it mean? I'm a visual artist. There's a drawing that is going viral. Is my vision as a climate activist. Contrast between the bad side of not solving climate issues and my vision of where the brighter side of climate-related issues are solved. Thank you.
Thank you. Interesting. Use the talent of the youth. So one more question before I return to the audience. Since you're sitting next to me, I'll start. Why I don't have any women sitting near me? You have attended public participation before, right? Okay, please come. Please come. Now, climate change. What do you know about climate change?
Can I start with the introduction? Yeah, my name is Miriam. I'm a mother of a young teen, a climate activist by the name Ramina Paulette. The reason why I went to the public participation is for me to gain more knowledge to teach other mothers. So for the climate change, I'd say it's the risk that we are seeing right now. As you can see the weather patterns, Kisumu in January there were no rainfalls. But right now there's rainfall. So when you're going back to the community, you won't experience it or also tell them in a simpler way that the climate change is the weather pattern that is happening right now because of our doings. If not for that, we could not be experiencing in January rainfall and flooding. As simple as that.
So your community is better informed on climate change now?
Not all, just a few that are in our organization and when we are doing the climate conservation work. So the reason why they're not like, they don't have the knowledge is because some of them, when we go to do cleanup, they prefer being given money. So they don't attend our events because there's no lunch.
So money is clearly the common denominator here. People want money in order for them to come. Now, Evans, you've heard from your, I don't know whether to call them constituents or your county citizens. I don't know whether to call them. You've seen they don't attend the public participation. And yet you have programs that you need to implement that require you to have public participation. For example, the FLOCA project, the Financing Locally Led Climate Adaptation. How then do you implement these adaptation projects in the community if the community is not even aware that such a thing is happening? How do you get them to come on board?
Thank you, Zainab, again. And I think more than 3/4 of the people in this room are young people, probably below 35 or 40. And I think what happens is that, first of all, we have to go to the real situation, how things happen. When you want people to attend the public baraza, for example, a few weeks ago we were having a public participation for the Climate Regulation Fund. It was in public. It was put in the newspaper, and also the people were getting information through social media and all that. But you'll find that the majority of the people who attend are the elderly, that is the women and the men, and also persons with disability and so on. Where the young men go, I cannot say, but what I know is that there are a few who attend at the same time. There are situations whereby you can have a targeted public participation. But all the same, what I want to say for us in Kisumu, especially on the FLOCA projects, it's an open way of communication, the way we communicate to the people and the way people are coming for public participation. We have had participatory climate risk assessments. We have had trainings for those who are in the various committees at the world level. And I know that things are not the same, the way it used to be. Right now, information has been going across, and we always even have radio talk shows. We have even TV talk shows. So what I want to encourage the young people so that we can be able to implement projects together. You heard my colleague here mentioning that there are various projects they have started. And the best way to make those projects to work is to participate in the public participation. Because, for instance, in the issues of FLOCA, the participatory climate risk assessment is where everybody has to come, give his opinion, and then the projects are prioritized so that you can get the projects that can be geared towards the benefit of the community. And so if the young people are not there, then it means your projects cannot be considered because there has to be priority given to this. So we want to encourage them that they should be attending the public participation and their projects should be geared towards resilience so that we can be able to have a way of them benefiting from the FLOCA projects. And I know that quite a number of them would be having some small projects that they need to come together and be able to encourage the government to be able to give them the support. Thank you.
Annette, picking up from there, young people often say government is not listening. Government is not giving them opportunity. Government is not creating avenues for them to participate in be it nation building or whatever activities they're doing in climate action. But from just this past few minutes we've seen, the young people are not really showing up in places where they will be heard. Yourself, have you attended any participation?
Yeah.
You have. And do you think your views were heard?
Not really.
Not really. So there's the problem of not attending, and then there's the problem of attending but not being heard. Now, have you tried to maybe go see Bwana Director there in his office and tell him, I think here we can revisit? Or is he welcoming maybe to young people when they show up in his office? Or you can't tell us because he's sitting next to you?
Okay, not really. I've never approached him at a personal level. So I think as a youth, as I said earlier, youths in Kisumu are really doing amazing work with regards to climate change. We have, I was saying, we have the Osiepe Sango who are looking at plastic pollution in the lakes. We have Ramina Paulet who is also looking at how to protect Lake Victoria under the Let Lake Victoria Breathe campaign. We also have youths who have ventured into smart farming, kitchen gardening to be able to deal with the aftermath, the impacts of climate change in our communities. So if I say youths are reluctant to go to public participation, my reasoning would be first, as a youth, I've attended public participation, and there are instances when you attend one public participation, you're not sure when the results of that participation that you've had, when it's going to be out there, because sometimes you're not able to attend the next public participation to be able to know if your voice was heard or if it was implemented. And also there's the issue of preferential projects. There's a time we were advocating for a library in Manyata area, and when the plan is coming out, you find that it's not there. And this is something you've done public participation even once or twice, then you're told that it was not part of the preferred. So I don't know what is the criteria for preferred projects. And I think that is something that stopped me from going to public participation, because why would I go there and waste my time and not have my voice heard? So as youths, I think we have resorted to the advocacy part, the bit of going to social media, because now there's technological advancement. We use technology and social media platforms to speak up and talk about the changes that we have. Sometimes we get heard through those spaces, and it works for youths. But right now, when you're talking about youth involvement, I think first, youths are tired and they're afraid of ticking boxes. We're afraid of the aspect of inclusion, where you go to a hall and they say we had 10 youths in this participation, we just tick boxes and leave. So I think that's one of the issues as a youth. I don't want to be part of that. And if my initiative at grassroots level is going to help change lives and also help people to be resilient when impacts of climate change are going to come, as opposed to sitting in a room to tick boxes, then I'd go that way. So I think that's why youths are looking at parallel initiatives that are not so much involved with what the government is doing.
Mm-hmm. Steve, I'd like to skip and come right to you. Based on what we're hearing here, there's clearly an intergenerational gap in communicating climate change. There's clearly an intergenerational gap. How do we bridge that?
Thank Thanks so much, Zainab, for flagging out that. I think this could also be potentially one of the climate risks or hazards, because this has a lot to do with knowledge and information, and primarily how the knowledge and information is shared across the different generations. The older generation relied more on reading books, going to library. The current generation, a physical library is irrelevant. Their libraries are on their fingertips. The Android phones, the Macs, has all the necessary information. Unfortunately, not edited. There are not many editors because it comes, it is forwarded, and it goes viral. So the rate of consuming unclear information with the current generation is a lot higher. And therefore, I think it would take a lot of different initiatives that tends to break down the pieces of information in different contexts. Part of, for example, what Karina is doing, what Obat is doing in this particular center, using art to break down certain information. This is important because the younger generation is so impatient. And talking about even the policy making processes, part of why, like she says that she feels like she's wasting her time. Majority do not appreciate that policy making is a process. Most of the young people are more used to events. Events are more fashionable, makes a lot more sense. Processes delay what they want. Secondly, and this is where I also see the opportunity with climate change, the current young person wants to see money in their pocket or money in their phone, for that matter. It is time we acknowledge and appreciate that the climate change is not necessarily a disaster, but presents great opportunities for creating enterprises that give us money across different value chains. And young people should therefore take advantage of the existing technologies that are there, and some that have also been prescribed in some of these different policies. So I think we would want to challenge you, because in terms of governance, policies have to be documented. Once it is documented, you must invest your time in reading and understanding. NGOs like us would try and break it down, but that would not be enough. So you must also still develop a reading culture that enables you to be able to understand so that you can be able to effectively engage with government.
Reading culture. Kenyans generally do not like to read anything. Kenyans do not like to read anything. So if reading is one of the issues, one of the challenges that we're facing, Karina, how do you get people to read the comics that you generate, that you create?
Okay, thank you, Zainab. I make them in a way that they can paint. I use the black and white so that they can paint and find it more interesting.
So you paint?
Let me say, in a layman's language, coloring, kukala. Yeah.
So who do you target? What age group do you target with your
I
comics?
target children and youths.
Children and youth.
Yeah.
What has been the impact of those comics in the time that how long have you been doing it?
Okay, I started last year, August. Yeah.
So in those months that you've been doing it, what have you seen the impacts?
Impacts, number one, I have seen more people coming and joining the campaigns. More people are also writing poems. Like, I sort of inspire them to build their own initiatives and start writing poems. Like my friend here, Rabach, also draws and paints. Yeah.
Okay. Roy, you've heard about the intergenerational challenges. Are you experiencing this in your county, and how are you resolving them in order to implement the projects? Because if the generations don't come together and talk and have a dialogue, then your public participation is handicapped, and therefore you can't implement climate action. How do you get everybody on the table in order to move forward with these projects?
Yes, thank you, Zainab. We have to acknowledge that the intergenerational conflicts and misunderstandings are things that have been there, and they will still be there into the future. Our only responsibility now is to manage them, especially the young generation. Because when you speak about public participation, and inviting the public to come to those forums, then on that front, the county governments and other government agencies normally do their part, take out the advertisements, put them in the media, and invite people to come. Now, at these forums, one of the key demographics that are expected are the youth. And not only the youth, we go down and expect that the youth come in both gender, that is the female and male. But the trend, unfortunately, has been that the young people tend to be busy with other things. And I'm not accusing the young people. I'm only challenging them that whenever such adverts are placed out in the media, then it is their responsibility as responsible citizens to come and participate. Having said that, still, even the mode of engaging the public, we should be innovative around them. Now, in our county, we've made it to be a bit simple in that we have taken these public participation forums to the lowest levels of the community. And even in the lowest level, that is called the village, we still go down and drill and put clusters in those villages. And the aim of doing that is to ensure that we reach as many people as possible. And in doing the mobilization work, we engage young people because we recognize it is the young people who can speak to fellow young people. So you will find in those clusters, there's a good number of representation of the youth of both gender to encourage their participation in these forums. Now, besides that, in terms of mobilizing the youth and other young people into climate action, our laws and even our policies are very clear around that. Because if you look at the composition of our climate change committees, because the climate change law that we have in Homa Bay County calls for the establishment of ward climate change committees. Now, when you look at the composition of those committees, you will find that there is a clear provision for youth. In fact, it is clearly said that there should be a representation from the youth, both a male and a female youth. The reason is to encourage the participation of the youth in the climate change discourses, especially in the critical area of identifying priorities for responding to the impacts of climate change. As it is, we are now dealing with the impacts of climate change. Climate change has occurred and it is continuing to occur, but we are now dealing with its impacts, either in terms of adapting, making our people adapt to climate change, build their resilience, or prevent further damage to the environment that now leads to the long-term effects of climate change. Now, in these conversations, we in Homa Bay County have strived and tried to even reach the youth in those platforms that they are easily found on. In the social media, and you know all of them. There's quite a number. The famous ones are the Facebook, the TikToks, the WhatsApps. So we leverage on those social media platforms also to try and attract the youth to these forums. And still, we have not achieved that kind of participation from the youth that we are looking for. But we are looking to build it up. And I want to use this platform to challenge the youth, not only in Homa Bay County, but in the country, that it is their responsibility as responsible citizens to find time and attend these public forums, because at these forums that your interests as not only youths, but citizens of this country are being discussed and very important decisions are being made.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see Winston wants to react, to jump on what you just said, Roy.
Zainab, as in Vihiga, our understanding of youth participation in climate action is completely different. It is looking beyond just checking attendance lists, that how many youth were in this forum, how many PWDs, but the real participation of youth is to what extent the youth are incorporated into the structures in a structured manner. And for us in Vihiga, the youth are provided for in the Vihiga County Climate Change Fund Act, whereby youth slot is given into each ward committee, so that these youth are our champions to reaching other youth in a meaningful manner in that ward. Secondly, the highest decision-making committee in matters climate change is the Vihiga County Steering Committee chaired by the governor, and currently, of course, our governor is Dr. Wilbur Otichilo. A youth sits on that committee, and we may be the only or among very few counties where we have a youth as the director in charge of climate change. Myself, I'm a youth. That is already meaningful engagement of youth in climate action. And perhaps lastly, participation should not be just limited to how many youth come to events, but also in matters of climate action, we are looking at climate finance. What portion of climate finances is going to young people in terms of the climate change adaptation and mitigation projects? So we put specific mechanisms in place to ensure that at least the contracts that we give for the climate change projects go to youth-owned companies. Even with that, a number of factors have also limited meaningful youth engagement in these processes. For example, there's a misguided advocacy processes by youth, where some youth, not all, some feel that they are against the government, instead of putting themselves into a structured group, like I've seen some young people here, put themselves into a structured group, so that where there is issues of discussion, they can be able to follow through beyond that public baraza. They can be able to follow through even up to office level. And an organization, for example, in Vihiga known as For Ezava, Friends of River Ezava, is such an organized group that keeps us in check on what measures that we are doing in terms of conserving a river there known as River Ezava. These are my contribution to as far as youth participation in climate action is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is an excellent point an excellent place to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Remember, you can still engage with us online. The hashtag to use on your screen, it's on your screen, hashtag. Otherwise, you can tweet, you can X me. I don't know if the word is X me or I don't know. We used to say tweet me, but you can find me on @Zain Wandati, ZEYN Wandati, at NTV Kenya, and we keep this conversation going, and we'll be able to sample some of your comments. We'll be right back after this break.
There's a kind of bank assurance intermediary that really allows you to relax because you know you'll be good. That's Coop Bank Assurance Intermediary for you. Get covered real good through Coop Bank Assurance Intermediary. Mwanangu, unapozidi kukua, mwili wangu unapitia mabadiliko mengi sana. Lakini the new nice and lovely flawless bio body oil inatunza mwili wangu, and I get to celebrate my journey with you. New nice and lovely flawless bio body oil imeboreshwa na 4 natural oils. Kupunguza the appearance of stretch marks, ku-even skin tone, na ku-improve skin firmness. Flawless is a feeling. 9 out of 10 Kenyan women agree it worked for them.
Nimeget airtime.
Airtel Money inakuokolea.
Really?
Ukiwithdraw chapa kwa Airtel Money agent, inakurudishia hiyo transaction fee kama airtime.
Asante.
Karibu.
Airtel Money makes your life kidogo better. This is NTV.
Yajayo katika NTV jioni. Mwanamke mmoja Mombasa afanya kazi na tuktuk na wanawe wawili kutokana na ugumu wa maisha.
Mlijihusisha na vitendo vya uhalifu wa jinai na hivyo kuhatarisha maisha na kusababisha vifo vya wanachama na wafuasi 429. Mtenge Mackenzie, ni kweli ama si kweli?
Washukiwa 95 wa mkasa wa Shakahola washtakiwa mahakamani kwa kosa la ugaidi. Huenda Wakenya wakatozwa ushuru zaidi baada ya shirika la IMF kuidhinisha mkopo zaidi wa dola 685 kwa Kenya.
Nimeget airtime.
Airtel Money inakuokolea.
Really?
Yes.
Aje?
Ukiwithdraw chapa kwa Airtel Money agent inakurudishia hiyo transaction fee kama airtime.
Santi.
Karibu.
Shosho. Shiko.
Nipotea.
Angalia hapo kwa buchari kanjia kako hapo.
Oh. Shosho.
Airtel Money makes your life kidogo better.
Stand a chance to win a trip for 2 to Diani, or a dinner for 4, or a year's freshness package with a new Nivea Fresh Deo. It's easy. Just buy any Nivea Fresh Deo, submit the receipt on WhatsApp to 0712 044 544 and enjoy exciting prices. Terms and conditions apply.
People come to me and they say they get discomfort when they have ice cream. Can you imagine that? Avoiding having cold ice cream. Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
When you're finally released from pain. That moment when you start to get back to ordinary, and ordinary feels amazing. Whatever pain you're going through, release starts here.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're live from Kisumu County having a discussion about climate action at the grassroots level. And in the first half of this discussion, we spent quite a bit of time on how young people can participate in these conversations on climate change. And one thing that has come out very clearly is that young people do not actually show up for participation when they are called to do so. So in the next bit of the conversation, now we'd like to change gears and talk about the actual work on the ground. The adaptation activities, the mitigation activities, where more effort is going into. Is it mitigation? Is it adaptation? And how do we bring everybody onto the table so that we can build the resilience of everyone in this country? Now, I'd like to start on my extreme right and start with you, Stephen. Mitigation, adaptation, what is the difference?
Thanks so much, Zainab. I think I will not give a scientific definition or difference of this, but I would want to try and make it simpler, based on, so that it becomes more, it could be possible to take actions based on the description that I would give. So my understanding of adaptation is acknowledging the fact that climate change and the risks and the hazards are real, present, but how then do we cope with them? For example, the rains are here. They probably will keep coming. They are likely to cause floods. They're likely to affect different kind of ecosystems, but then including our own livelihoods. From the first video, depending on the kind of topography in which my house is constructed, it's likely to be affected by flood. So when the rains have been predicted to come, how best do I prepare so that I cope with the potential risk of the flood and the related hazard, which includes potential diseases? Mitigation would mean being able to prevent. Most of the climate change factors are more natural, including floods, droughts. Some of these natural conditions are beyond human control, and therefore you cannot be able to prevent or mitigate for that matter. However, because some of the effects of climate change are also human-induced or human-caused, that means the necessary responsibility and action to be taken is within our disposal as human beings, and therefore we should be able to prevent some of these negative effects that we have, including taking advantage of that and converting those into opportunities. Thank you.
Now, still back on you. One of the biggest mitigation activities that we do in the country is to plant trees. We tell people, go and plant a tree. But you hold a different view on this whole agenda of tree planting. Tell us a little bit about why you think differently.
My point of departure, first of all, we should stop planting trees and begin growing trees. That's my difference, first of all. Because, and the difference in that is planting a tree basically means you dig a hole, put a seedling, you go away, and you don't care what happens after. And for me, I'm a proponent of growing trees and not planting trees. Because when you grow a tree, you grow it for a purpose. In my view, every tree that I plant, I make sure that it has a value, it has a purpose. That is the reason why I then nurture it. Every tree, either it will give me wood that I have purposefully intended to use it, either to construct a house, construct a furniture, or even just use it for fuel. Because some of these human needs for wood will never stop in as much as, and so we should not just be planting trees, but growing trees strategically. The other bit for me, and that's why I said in our organization we are more inclined towards green enterprises, so that even if I am growing trees, I am growing trees for an economic purpose, an economic value, so that my livelihoods is improved by the trees that I grow. Hamna. And I think this for me would be the challenge even for the president's call. I know tree planting has been made a national holiday. I hope this year again will be a holiday. How I wish that we can begin to grow the trees. I'm not even sure if I'm aware somebody is here from the Ministry of Environment, the national level. It would be great if as a country we can be able to account for the number of trees that were grown, or were planted rather. I am aware in all the public institutions, every head of the institutions, principals, head teachers, have a directive to plant trees. For what purpose, for what goal, maybe the government know, but they are not aware. They can be made aware so that they can grow these trees, not plant the trees.
The tree planting agenda, I believe, was one of the outcomes of the climate summit when the country committed to plant trees and told everyone to plant trees. Now, there was also an app, that the day of the national holiday, an app that the CS talked about, where you can go and log in the tree that you planted. I just wonder in this room, how many people participated in that tree planting holiday? Who planted a tree that day? The goal was to plant 100 million trees. Oh, a lot more people planted trees. That's good. How many of you logged into that app that the CS talked about and registered the trees that you planted? No one. Young people are supposed to be tech savvy. Oh, only one person. Did you find that app user-friendly? Yes. Great. Great. So hopefully this year the statistics will be better in terms of how many trees people planted and the usability of that app. Karina, I'd like to skip you for a moment and be back to you. Roy, loss and damage are things that counties face as one of the impacts of climate change. The result of it is the losses and damage that communities suffer as a result of the climate change. But loss and damage is always a very hot topic when it comes to international conversations. And this time around at COP27, Africa finally succeeded, and the third world finally succeeded in getting something from the loss and damage. Now, if you as Homa Bay County are able to access that fund, what will you do with it?
Thank you, Zainab. First of all, I must say that as Africa, we are really elated, and we are looking forward to benefiting from that loss and damage fund that was as a result of the COP28 in Dubai. Now, the concept behind loss and damage fits with our plans on climate change. Because you realize when you talk about loss and damage, it aims to address the very causes of vulnerability to climate change. And those causes of vulnerability to climate change include lack of employment, low income, low agricultural productivity, inadequate access to water and sanitation services. And the sources of these issues, for example, water, for example, land for agriculture, that in turn support livelihoods, are the ones that are actually most impacted by climate change. So when you talk about loss and damage, then it brings the conversation where we as Africans, and in particular we in Homa Bay County, want that conversation to go to. Because if you look at our climate change priorities, we are addressing issues like providing drought-resistant seeds to our farmers. And why do we do that? Because we've realized that due to interference with the seasons, farmers can no longer plant their crops the way they used to do. They need to come and do some crops that would mature faster with the little rain that come. Some crops that would resist the pests and diseases that arise as a result of this, the changing climate and the changed ecosystems and the biodiversity. So in Homa Bay County, if we have the chance to access the funds from the loss and damage fund, then that will go straight away into addressing those root causes I've talked about that make our people and our lands vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. That is ensuring that we provide enough water for our people, for both household use and for farming. That we provide enough sanitation facilities for our people, that we climate-proof our infrastructure. And when you talk about infrastructure, that includes our roads, that includes our health system, that is the health centers, that some of them have been actually literally swept away by the floods. The loss and damage fund would also address issues around health, especially those issues that contribute to preventable diseases like malaria, diseases like waterborne diseases, those diseases that cause high infant mortality rates within our counties. And then it would also go to address the climate-related impacts on mother and child health in our county. So we in Homa Bay County, when you talk about adapting to the impacts of climate change, because that is also closely related to loss and damage. In a way, when you address a loss and damage, you are increasing the adaptability of people and systems to the impacts of climate change, and it's taking away from the practice that has been we putting more emphasis on mitigating the causes of climate change.
Yes.
And already, in Homa Bay County, for instance, we are sensitizing our people to be ready to utilize opportunities that arise from climate change, to be ready to report any incidences that they feel would be addressed. And the way we've done this, if you allow me, Zainab, before we move to the next panelist, we provided avenues for people to reach us. And in Homa Bay County right now, we don't necessarily need to go into the villages to collect views. And this is connected to the public participation thing we were talking about. In Homa Bay County, we've established what we call the Homa Bay County Climate Change Information Center. And what does that center do? It has a toll-free number where citizens can call in on a number of issues around climate change, including those priorities, those issues, those measures or actions they think can be taken to help them adapt to the impacts of climate change. And the reason I'm saying this is one of the uses we would apply the loss and damages fund to is to establish a robust system of dealing with climate disasters in terms of early warning system and in terms of getting information out to the people to educate them on various ways and means in which they can adapt to climate change and build their resilience. Thank you.
Okay. Winston, I'd like to come to you very briefly. Your governor is very actively involved in this climate space and never misses a COP. Yeah. So I'd just like you to tell me, how do you scale down the decisions taken at such high level from the Africa Climate Summit, the COP, be it COP27, COP28, whichever COP. How do you scale down the decisions made at that high level down to the very local level?
Thank you very much, Zainab. Just to put us into perspective, we have to understand that Kenya is a signatory of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, that entered into force in 1992. And as a follow-up to this, this conference is where all nations come together for climate change coordination and financing mechanism. This convention meets on annual basis in what is called Conference of Parties. And in 2015, there's what we call the Paris Agreement that obligates countries to put in place measures and mechanisms to abate greenhouse gases and also reduce citizens' vulnerability to climate change. Kenya is a signatory to that. And Kenya sets her ambition or target of reducing greenhouse gases by 32% by 2030. So this scales down, and one of the mechanisms of implementing this is the Climate Change Act 2016 that is national. And this gives all counties responsibility to put in place measures to respond to climate change. Vihiga County, just like others, has put in place measures to respond to climate change, including putting in place an act of the county assembly known as the Vihiga County Climate Change Fund Act, which enables financing and also establishes climate change governance structures, including up to the ward level. So far, based on the ambitions of the country and what we have domesticated as the county, we said the governor has directed through that act, or the government has directed through that act, that 2% of our budget goes to climate change. And so far, from 2021, we have been budgeting 37 million in 2021, 64 million in 2022, and right now we have got 80 million as a county for climate change, which then, us as a directorate, are coordinating response actions at the lowest level, that is the ward, through actions such as participatory climate change risk assessment, where we go to the communities to identify what are their most pressing climate change issues, and they propose the response mechanisms by themselves.
Where is the bulk of this money going, adaptation or mitigation?
The bulk of the money goes to adaptation, which is also in line with the Africa Agenda 2063, and also Kenya's priority. Generally, Africa's priority is adaptation as opposed to mitigation, because adaptation calls for strengthening, on how can we cope with the impacts of climate change, because they are here to stay. And mitigation answers the question of what can you do to reduce the concentration of greenhouse gases. So we believe the priority is making our people to cope with the impacts of climate change.
And it's just quickly, when you look at all these laws that you're coming up with, or the declarations, the Africa Agenda 2063, the Africa Climate Summit, the Climate Change Act that Kenya has, the Dubai Declaration of the climate change from COP28, all those, when you, in your work as tuelimishe vijana, is part of the work you do educating vijana about all these laws and declarations and what they mean to them? Ama mnaacha tu mnaassume wamejisomea COP28 ilisha, wanajua COP28 ilifanyika, wamejisomea whatever came from it?
Yes, we allude to them. For example, was it?
That's a question for Annette.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So at Tuelimishe Vijana, our commitment is toward fostering learning and education amongst children and youth. And majorly, when we look at disasters, we find that children are usually affected mostly by disasters, because when a disaster occurs, sometimes it's the schools that is used for shelter, and sometimes they have to drop out of school for a period of time as the disaster is being mitigated. So as part of our program, what we do is we educate children on how to prepare themselves in case of disasters. And also, because we cannot talk to children without their parents' consent, we also engage the parents and the community at large, so that in issues where there is a disaster risk and also issues that involve them, we are able to talk to them, speak to them from their point of view, because sometimes I think the reason why initiatives fail is because sometimes you find someone just sits in a boardroom and comes up with initiatives. So what we do is we walk into communities. We have a people-centered initiative, something you go and tell them, okay, this is what has happened, so what do you want? What works for you? Because I can link it to an incident that happened in the past when we had a malaria outbreak. We had the government giving people nets. But you find that these nets were not used to curb malaria. They were used for farming. People used them in their farms. So then you ask yourself, why are our initiatives failing in as much as we are trying as a country and as a county? So you find that these initiatives are usually not people-centered. And also, as I said, as part of our advocacy plan, we usually talk, mostly what we've been doing is trying to educate the children and the youth, and also women, on the Kisumu County Climate Change 2019 policy. This one, it's something we do. We call community engagement forums. We engage them. We break down the provisions in these policies, and also maybe ask them their opinions if they feel it's being implemented.
Okay, so scaling down or localizing laws or declarations, whether at the local or international level, is not part of what you do?
Okay, it somehow is, because we've had youths also who have represented us as Kisumu County in COP28, and we find that the engagement in these international levels is something we also do to encourage also other youths that climate change is with us. It's something that has been there, and our involvement in these spaces is also important. So also breaking down those is important as we ensure that they are conversant with what is happening at international level, and also to understand that climate change is not just a Kenyan issue.
Okay, Karina, now to come back to you. You did attend COP28 as a Kenyan, as a citizen of Kisumu County, as a young person from Kenya. What did you learn? Do you think it was worth it for you to go there?
Okay, thank you, Zainab. I wanted to attend COP so that I can have an experience of attending a global conference, and also meet with other climate authors, so that I can also improve my work and so that we can share our experiences. Okay, so before I went to COP, I thought COP was just like a serious conference where policies are being made, and when I went to COP, I got to see activists who were demanding for change, who were striking. I got to meet innovators who had had good ideas. So I got to meet donors. So I came to realize that COP is not just about policy making. It's like everybody has a role to play, from children to activists to innovators.
Do you think that the knowledge you gained from the COP, you'll incorporate it into your comics and your climate education? Or have you started doing so?
Yes, also going to COP made me to think on other topics that I can write. And also it made me to feel like I'm not just limited to Kisumu and Kakamega. I can also go to other countries that are speaking Kiswahili. Yeah.
Great. So Kisumu County, Mr. Gishana, the COP28, we finished COP28, you're now preparing for COP29, and we've had 28 COPs so far. Which elements of these conversations are you including or incorporating in your climate action on the ground?
Thank you very much, Zainab. And it's important to, first of all, understand that you cannot get money without people understanding exactly what you want to do. And so for us in Kisumu, what we are currently doing, especially on loss and damage, we have been supported by European Union to conduct what we call economic and social assessment, so that we can understand how much are we losing in terms of the sectors. Go to agriculture, go to health, and all those. Whenever we have these climate change impacts, how much are we losing? What are the impacts in terms of the social aspects? So this is the study that is ongoing for 6 months. Out of it, we know we are going to get the data, and we have also been supported by a consultant who is going to help us out of this study so that we can get projects that are from the grassroots at the local level, which can be implemented both by the county and any funder who can be able to support this. So the study is ongoing, and it is being done by the consultants from Hawaii Forum and also Eastern Gate. And we are going to come to the people. It's you who are the people. And we'll be at the ground to find out what are some of the impacts, what are some of the things that affect the community. And as this study will be going on with the questionnaires and all the rest, we get that data which can be able to help the people. We do not want to get money without having prepared for it on where is it going. We would like to get this money and know where it's going and why it's going there.
Let me ask you, your climate change funds at the moment, does it go into adaptation or mitigation?
Yeah, it's going through, much of it is on adaptation.
Adaptation.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you again. Kisumu was represented at COP28, and Kisumu was also, I think, in the COP27 as well. Have you had come back to the people when you returned and told them, we went to the COP, we went to do this, this is what we found, and this is what it means to us as the people of Kisumu?
Yes, we have had the various forums where we have been discussing with the people, and most of this is done at the community level, where we share the information. And also there is information on social media. That is where the youth like and so on. So we also have in our website some of the information. But mainly what we normally do is to get those declarations or those policies that were discussed and digest them and put them in the language that the local mwananchi can be able to understand.
So you're in the process of translating?
Yes. For instance, we are having the early warning systems across. We have over 7 automatic weather stations. Does mwananchi know how to use it? We have to plan and reach them and tell them how to get the information through this, whatever information that is sent, so that the farmer can act or make a decision out of this.
Okay.
So we localize that information so that we go to the community. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to
Thank you.
I'd like to cut you short there a little bit. Unfortunately, we have to make room for the 7 p.m. bulletin, so we need to wind up this live section of this discussion right now. Thank you for making time for joining this discussion. We will go through some of your feedback. For the live studio audience, the panelists are still here. We still have a couple more minutes once we get off air. But for now, we need to make room for the 7 p.m. bulletin. Thank you very much for making time. We're live in Kisumu County at the Mama Grace Onyango Social Hall, having conversations about grassroots climate action. On behalf of my panel and my live studio audience, I bid you goodbye for now. My name is Anna Bondati. Do not go away. NTV Johnny will be right up.
You can set yourself up for that kind of life and you will have it and you'll be happy. But then something can happen right here. And something can take over you called divine acceleration. And then all of a sudden what is happening to you, people cannot get, they cannot fathom. You are in an environment where naturally you should not rise up. But then there's a force. The scripture says that it even makes your enemies bless you.
Let's take a trip. A trip across the vibrant Mombasa city. Whether by road, by rail, or by air, you won't miss to witness the marvel of the solar streetlights. A quiet revolution that is cost-effective and changing the nightlife of motorists and pedestrians. Like a carefully choreographed dance, the solar streetlights sprout across the highway, their elegant designs blending seamlessly into the urban fabric. Its magic extending beyond the aesthetic appeal. Welcome to the revolutionary era of solar by Sentimental Energy.
This is NTV.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba mpenzi mtazamaji, natumai ubuheri wa afya, ikiwa ni siku ya Alhamisi tarehe 18 mwezi wa Januari mwaka 2024. Karibu sana, shukran sana kwa kuchagua kutazama runinga ya NTV. Tumekuandalia taarifa kemkem kwenye NTV jioni, lakini kwanza tupate vipasho.
Sikusoma lakini nimesukuma mawe nikajipeleka mwenyewe college, lakini katika kwenye mendi yangu mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa natamani yani mambo ya magari.
Mwanamke mmoja Mombasa afanya kazi na tuktuk na wanawe wawili kutokana na ugumu wa maisha.
Mlijihusisha na vitendo vya uhalifu wa jinai na hivyo kuhatarisha maisha na kusababisha vifo vya wanachama na wafuasi 429. Mthenge Mackenzie, ni kweli ama si kweli?
Washukiwa 95 wa mkasa wa Shakahola washtakiwa mahakamani kwa kosa la ugaidi. Huenda Wakenya wakatozwa ushuru zaidi baada ya shirika la IMF kuidhinisha mkopo zaidi wa dola 685 kwa Kenya.
Ni kulala kazini wao waheshimiwa. Mtu anachukua kura, ile pesa wanapewa ya development ya ward, sijui inaenda wapi.
Na kutoka Kisii tutakufahamisha namna wanafunzi huvuka mto Omugonga wakiwa na mioyo mikononi.
Hii ni NTV Jioni na Nuru Abdul Aziz.
Na karibu sana mwenzangu wa ishara ni David Agondoa. Tukianza taarifa zetu, mshukiwa wa mauaji ya halaiki huko Shakahola Paul Mackenzie akiwa na mkewe Rhoda Mumbua pamoja na washukiwa wengine 93 wameshtakiwa katika mahakama ya Shanzu huko Mombasa kwa tuhuma za ugaidi wa itikadi kali. Wote walikana madai hayo, mahakama ikiamuru wazuiliwe gerezani na kutupilia mbali ombi la kupewa dhamana. Iwapo watapatikana na hatia, huenda washtakiwa wakafungwa maisha. Kevin Mutai bado anafuatilia taarifa hiyo.
Mackenzie alifikishwa mahakamani Shanzu leo akiwa na washukiwa wengine 94 wanaodaiwa kuhusika na maafa ya Shakahola.
Mlijihusisha na vitendo vya uhalifu wa jinai na hivyo kuhatarisha maisha na kusababisha vifo vya wanachama na wafuasi 429. Paul Mpenge Mackenzie, ni kweli ama si kweli?
Uhalifu ambao unadaiwa kusababisha maafa ya wafuasi 429 wa kanisa la Good News International.
Paul Mpenge Mackenzie.
Shtaka la pili lilimkabili Mackenzie na mkewe Rhoda Mumbua pamoja na washukiwa wote 93 kwa kuhusika na itikadi kali kati ya mwaka 2020 na mwaka 2023. Kadhalika Mackenzie anayetambulika pia kama mtumishi, nabii au papa, na mshtakiwa wa pili Smart Mwakalama wanatuhumiwa kwa kuwasafirisha wafuasi wa dhehebu hilo kutoka Malindi hadi Shakahola kwenda kushiriki mfungo huo wafunga hadi kufa. Kulikuwa na shtaka la 5 pia dhidi ya mhubiri huyo pamoja na mkewe, serikali ikidai walipatikana na vifaa nyumbani kwao mtaani Furunzi, eneo la Malindi, vya kutekeleza uhalifu na hata kuhatarisha maisha ya wafuasi wao.
All the accused persons, save for number 4 and number 92, will be remanded in the respective GK prison facilities that they were remanded previously, pursuant to the orders that had been issued in miscellaneous 77 and 152 of this year, and that shall include accused number 32, who shall for avoidance of doubt be remanded at Chimalatewa Women's Remand.
Iwapo watapatikana na hatia, washtakiwa watafungwa miaka isiyozidi 30 kwa shtaka la ugaidi au kifungo cha maisha kutokana na shtaka la kupanga uhalifu. Wiki ijayo watafikishwa mahakamani tena kujibu mashtaka ya mauaji, ya kukusudia na ukatili kwa watoto katika mahakama kuu ya Mombasa na ile ya Tononoka mtawalia. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Kwingineko, kupanda kwa gharama ya maisha kumesababisha wengi kujitosa katika kazi ambazo kwa muda mrefu zimenasibishwa sana na wanaume. Rehema Ali ni mfano, alilazimika kujitosa katika sekta ya uchukuzi wa tuktuk. Mama huyo watoto 2 alikumbatia kazi hii, ila linalowashangaza wengi ni kwamba anaendesha tuktuk hiyo kwa kuandamana na wanawe 2. Fatma Bugu na taarifa hiyo.
Jua linapochomoza, Rehema huamka na kuandaa kiamsha kinywa kabla ya kuanza kazi yake ya uchukuzi wa tuktuk, anga kujichumia riziki. Kazi hii amekumbatia kwa dhati, kwani ndiyo inayomwezesha kutia mkono kinywani yeye na wanawe.
Sikusoma lakini nimejipeleka mwenyewe college. Nimesukuma mawe, nikajipeleka mwenyewe college, lakini katika kwenye mendi yangu mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa natamani yani mambo ya magari.
Aliamua kuifanya kazi hii baada ya masomo yake kukatikia njiani. Alilazimika kufanya kazi ya kusafirisha mawe angalau kufanikisha masomo yake ya udereva.
Vigumu kuweka mfanyikazi kwa sababu sasa kipato changu kiko chini. Tuktuku si yangu hii. Tuktuku ni ya boss. Jioni nateka na shilingi 1000 ama 800. na nikisema pengine naeka mfanyikazi, nitashindwa na kumlipa ule mfanyikazi. Nitashindwa kabisa. Sina uwezo.
Jijini Mombasa sasa amezoeleka kutokana na umaarufu wake wa kuendesha tuktuk akiwa na mwanawe mapajani, huku mwingine akikaa nyuma anapomtandikia.
Mwingine atapanda, aseme mlete anti huyo mtoto, atambeba. Kuna mwingine, huyu mtoto wangu huyu yuko huko nyuma lakini akajaribu kumgusa. Yaani yeye ni special, hataki atakuguswa. Lakini hivyo napambana nazo.
Kwa muda mrefu uendeshaji wa tuktuk umenasibishwa sana kwa wanaume, lakini hivi sasa wanawake wamejitolea kimasomaso anga kujitafutia riziki. Kwa wengi hatua hii ni ya kijasiri, na anasema wengi wanapomuona hupenda kupanda tuktuk. Baadhi ya wanaume japo wamemkubali wanahofu juu ya hali ya Rehema.
Naweza kumwachia mtoto, maybe ndiye afanyao kazi, ingekuwa fadhali, lakini kufanya kazi na mtoto pale mbele naona mimi naweza tetea kwa upande ule mtoto.
Ndoto yake ni siku moja aweze kumiliki tuktuk yake itakayomwezesha kuweka akiba ya kutosha. Halikadhalika, licha ya dhulma anazopitia, anaifurahia kazi yake, akiwasia wanawake wenzake wajizatiti kujitafutia riziki bila kutegemea mtu.
Leo uko na bwana na kufanya kila kitu, kesho amekuenulia mikono. Utajikimu vipi kama umekaa ndani ya nyumba?
Rehema anasubiria neema kumvika. Fatma Bugu, NTV, kutoka kaunti ya Mombasa.
Na Mwenyezi Mungu amzidishie mapato yake mwanamke huyo. Tukisonga mbele, shirika la fedha duniani IMF limesikitikia hatua ya Kenya kushindwa kukusanya mapato iliyokuwa imelenga kupitia utozaji wa ushuru wakati wa msimu wa robo ya kwanza ya mwaka 2023 mwaka 2024. IMF sasa inataka Kenya itekeleze kikamilifu mapendekezo yaliyotolewa na Wizara ya Fedha kuongeza mapato ya taifa. Mapato kutokana na ushuru msimu huo yalikuwa shilingi bilioni 589.6 ambayo yalikosa kufikia kiwango kilichowekwa kwa mapungufu ya shilingi bilioni 79. Wito wa IMF sasa unatarajiwa kuisukuma serikali kuongeza zaidi viwango vya ushuru kujaribu kutimiza matakwa ya IMF kuhusiana na mapato ya taifa. Kwa mujibu wa mikakati ya Wizara ya Fedha ya mwaka 2024 mwaka 2025 hadi mwaka 2026 mwaka 2027, mapato zaidi yatatokana na ushuru wa bidhaa na huduma kutokana na kodi mpya za serikali kama njia ya kupanua kapu la umma. Na tukisonga mbele, familia ya Gatundu Kaskazini ambazo mashamba yao yamezamishwa na maji ya bwawa la Karimenu inaishi kwa hofu ya maporomoko ya udongo baada ya maji hayo kufika katika makazi yao. Wakazi wa Iruri, Kanyoni, Gituamba na Kiriko wanasema kuwa wana hofu baada ya nyumba zao pamoja na vyoo kuanza kujaa maji. Margaret Kimathi na taarifa hiyo kwa kina.
Nyumbani kwa James Kariuki, choo cha shimo kilianguka Jumatatu jioni na kuacha familia hiyo ikiwa haina mahali pa kujisaidia, na sasa wana hofu ya kupoteza nyumba yao kwenye bwawa hilo. Wakazi hapa wanadai kwamba bwawa hili la mabilioni la Karimenu limekuwa sababu ya masaibu yao tangu kuzuiwa kwa maji kuanzia Mei mwaka 2022.
Kuna mama mwingine alienda kwa hicho ikabomoka. Saa hii hatuna mahali ya kwenda choo, hakuna kitu ya kukula huku. Tunaambiwa tuhame hapa, hii maji tunakuja kuvulia manguo hapa. Na choo yenye imebomoka ndio hii. Sasa maji iko huku chini, hata ukikuja kuchota maji hapa bado unaogopa.
Unaona soo inaanza kuteremka chini na maji ikawa juu. Sasa hiyo maji hata wale wanakunywa maji wanakunywa kitu baya. Na hata nema kama wanakuja, mimi nasema ukweli, wakija waangalia wataona ni ukweli, mimi nasema.
Wakazi hao wanadai kuwa bwawa hilo ambalo walidhani lingeshughulikia baadhi ya matatizo yao kama vile ukosefu wa maji katika nyumba zao limekuwa sababu ya matatizo yao, wakisema kitu pekee wanachopata kutoka kwa bwawa hilo ni mbu na baridi kali. Pia wana wasiwasi kuhusu usalama wa watoto wao.
Kama serikali ingeingilia juu ya hii mambo tu hatungekuwa hapa. Saa hii tungekuwa tumehamishwa, kama wangetulipa tungekuwa tumehama. Na hatuwezi hama kama hatujapata kilicho chetu. Juu wenye walilipo bado wao walienda, sisi hatuendi. Tunaambiwa tuende na tujui tunaambiwa tuende wapi.
Tunauliza serikali ikuje isaidie hawa watu wetu wa Kalemeno, kwa sababu tukishida tukisema ati wakuje na wakuji, wakati kutakuwa na FIFO, wakati kutakuwa na landslide singia kwa Kalemeno dam, ndio wakati hiyo tutaona watu wamekimbia sana.
Novemba mwaka jana, waziri wa maji Zachary Njeru katika ziara ya kukagua bwawa hilo alitangaza kuwa serikali imetenga shilingi milioni 150 kwa ajili ya kulipa fidia na kuhamisha baadhi ya wakaazi 100 ambao mali zao ikiwa ni pamoja na ardhi na nyumba zilikuwa karibu kuzamishwa na maji ambayo tayari yamejaa. Margaret Kimathi, NTV.
Na tukielekea kule kaunti ya Kakamega, tume ya kuajiri walimu nchini TSC imeondoa walimu wake katika shule ya upili ya Isongo huko Kakamega baada ya wazazi kuandamana na kumfurusha mwalimu mkuu Kenyama. TSC inasema usalama wa walimu hao umo hatarini na sasa imewapa uhamisho hadi shule zingine. Na kama anavyoarifu Zakius Mosame, shughuli za masomo shuleni humo zimeathirika pakubwa.
Wakuu wa elimu, wazazi na washikadau mbalimbali walifika katika shule ya Mtakatifu Gabrieli Isongo kutafuta suluhu baada ya tume ya kuajiri walimu nchini TSC kuhamisha walimu 17. Hii inatokana na kile kinasemekana kuwa utovu wa nidhamu wa wanafunzi pamoja na wazazi waliofika shuleni humo Ijumaa na kumfurusha mwalimu mkuu David Wafula, wakisema amesababisha matokeo duni ya KCSE.
Huyu mwalimu akikuja hapa minisco ilikuwa 5. Amerudisha chini paka imefika 2. Hii shule ni kubwa sana, anaangusha shule. Kubadilisha walimu wa board kila mwezi.
Walimu ambao wanaletwa, wale wenye bado hawajakuwa wa serikali, wanaletwa hapa wanafanya kazi bila kulipwa. Sasa hao walimu wakienda darasani huwa wanakaa tu.
Ingawa masomo yameathirika pakubwa kutokana na uhamisho wa walimu hao, mkuu wa elimu Mumias Mashariki Boniface Ouko anasema walimu 14 walioajiriwa na bodi ya usimamizi wa shule watajukumika wakati suluhu ya kudumu ikitafutwa.
It is very unfortunate that those people who are doing that are the products of these teachers. Some of them have been taught by these teachers. The rest of them are dropouts. I want to say we will not allow that again and we will take very serious action on them.
Chama cha kutetea maslahi ya walimu KUPPET tawi la Kakamega kimelaani tukio hilo na kushinikiza kuondolewa kwa walimu ili liwe funzo kwa jamii ya Isongo.
We have gone to Isongo, picked our brothers and sisters, we are with them here because their security in that school is not assured. Mtu hawezi kuingia kwa shule na panga na rungu, halafu walimu wanaingia huko hawajui mtu atakuja na kisu, tutakuwa tunangoja nini?
Kati ya watahiniwa 179 wa KCSE mwaka jana, ni wawili tu waliopata alama ya kuwawezesha kujiunga na chuo kikuu. 4 wakapata alama ya E, huku alama ya wastani ya shule ikiwa ni 2.9. Hadi wakati TSC itakapopiga moyo konde na kuwarejesha walimu, wanafunzi hapa wataendelea kuhangaika. Zakius Masame, NTV.
Na mtazamaji, baada ya taarifa hiyo Zakius Masame, tupate mapumziko mafupi na rejea na taarifa zaidi.
There's a kind of bank assurance intermediary that really allows you to relax because you know you'll be good. The kind that gives you access to a good range of insurance solutions from a good variety of insurance partners at good affordable premiums. That's Coop Bank Assurance Intermediary for you. Get covered real good through Coop Bank Assurance Intermediary.
Mwanangu, unapozidi kukua, mwili wangu unapitia mabadiliko mengi sana.
lakini the new nice and lovely flawless bio body oil inatunza mwili wangu, and I get to celebrate my journey with you. New nice and lovely flawless bio body oil imeboreshwa na 4 natural oils kupunguza the appearance of stretch marks, ku-even skin tone na ku-improve skin firmness. Flawless is a feeling. 9 out of 10 Kenyan women agree it worked for them.
One and only Sir Adrian here in my heart.
And you're the one and only boss of my heart.
Oh, you're a couple now! Ah! Don't tell me you really have feelings for Mitch. I thought we weren't supposed to fall in love with anyone while we're on this mission. That's why I've been content with this and with what we have.
We dropped by to say hi and to let you know that we're a couple now.
Can you ever truly be happy with a man who killed your own mother? I'm going to fight for our relationship.
Secrets of El Paraiso.
Want to know the biggest story of the week? Do not worry. The Weekly Review got you covered. For in-depth analysis of politics, business, governance, as well as social issues, the Weekly Review covers it all. For well-researched, exclusive and investigative content, read the Weekly Review every Sunday in the Sunday Nation.
Na shukrani sana kwa kuendelea kutazama taarifa zetu za NTV jioni. Tukiendelea na taarifa zetu, naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua sasa amebadilisha mipango ya kuwasilisha kesi dhidi ya jaji mmoja wa mahakama kuu chini ya wiki moja baada ya kutoa ahadi hiyo. Katika ujumbe wake kwa vyombo vya habari, Gachagua anasema hatua hiyo inanuiwa kupiga jeki mazungumzo baina ya Rais William Ruto na tume ya huduma za mahakama. Sydney Chazima ana maelezo zaidi.
Licha ya kuwa vuta ni kuvute baina ya idara ya mahakama na serikali kuu ingali imechacha, naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua amepunguza makali yake dhidi ya jaji mmoja ambaye alikuwa analenga kwa mashtaka akitaka ang'atuliwe afisini, siku ambayo alikuwa anasubiriwa mahakamani ili kuwasilisha malalamishi yake dhidi ya jaji huyo. Gachagua hakuonekana, licha ya kuwa jaji mkuu alidokeza kwamba alikuwa anasubiriwa kwa hamu.
Our offices are open to receive. Even after hours, you can file online and we will receive it the next day.
Badala yake, mlalamishi Gachagua alituma ujumbe kwa wanahabari kusema kwamba ameshusha hamaki. Anasema kwa mintarafu ya jaji mkuu Martha Koome kuomba kikao kati ya wakuu wa mahakama na serikali kuu, hakukuwa na haja ya kuwasilisha kesi hiyo ili kutoa nafasi ya gumzo hilo. Mapema wiki hii Gachagua alifoka vikali akidai kuwa jaji huyo alitumia afisi yake vibaya na kumhukumu wakati wa utawala wa rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta, uamuzi aliodai ulishawishiwa kwa njia za ufisadi.
Amechallenge sisi tutoe ushahidi. I will lead by example. On Thursday this coming week at 2:15, I'll personally present a petition before Lady Chief Justice Martha Koome against Justice Esther Maina for her removal from the judiciary for misconduct and corruption.
Tamko la Gachagua liliibua hisia tofauti, huku kinara mwenza wa Azimio Kalonzo Musyoka akidai kuwa Gachagua ameidhalilisha afisi ya naibu rais.
I'm sure you saw that. And he named a judge. Completely unethical. That's what I call that conduct absurd to the extreme. It doesn't happen anywhere. Yeah.
You mentioned that it would be absurd for him to organize the demonstration. And I take you back.
No, not demonstration. He said he was going to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yeah.
I take you a bit before.
Maybe a protest, I think.
I take you back a bit.
No, he said a petition, to be fair to him.
I take you back a bit.
Yeah.
When the leader of Azimio, Raila Odinga, after the decision by the Supreme Court, he said, shame on the judiciary. And he said that he would organize a 1 million march to remove them from office.
Question, did he?
Isn't this kind
Did he? Basically what Raila was saying was he did not agree.
Mwaka 2022, jaji huyo alitoa uamuzi wa kukataa kutekeleza ombi lake Gachagua, ambaye alitaka masharti na vikwazo dhidi ya hazina zake za fedha kuondolewa. Katika uamuzi huu, mahakama iliamuru kuwa Gachagua asahau hela zake takriban milioni 200, ikidaiwa kuwa zilipatikana kwa njia ya kifisadi. Gachagua alirejeshewa fedha hizo baada ya Rais Ruto kushika hatamu za urais. Taarifa hii ya Gachagua kubadilisha nia na kutaka jaji huyo aondolewe afisini na kuzingatia mazungumzo ya uwiano vile imeibua maswali zaidi, kwani hajamuondolea tuhuma alizotoa wala kusema hata lalamika baadaye. Je, iwapo serikali inasisitiza kwamba wapo majaji wafisadi, suluhu mwafaka ni kuwachukulia hatua za kisheria alivyoniwia naibu rais, au ni kuwaita kwenye meza ya mazungumzo kuridhiana? Sydney Chazima, NTV.
Na tukielekea kaunti ya Isiolo, maafisa 8 wa zamani wa kaunti ya Isiolo wameachiliwa kwa dhamana ya shilingi milioni 3. Maafisa hao wakiwemo maafisa wakuu 3 waliokuwa wamekamatwa na tume ya maadili na kupambana na ufisadi EACC walikanusha mashtaka 12 ya ufisadi. Mashtaka hayo yanatokana na tuhuma za ulaghai katika ununuzi wa gari la zimamoto katika zabuni ya shilingi milioni 58.56 wakiwa mbele ya hakimu mkuu wa Isiolo Lucy Mutai. Washtakiwa kanusha mashtaka ya kukiuka kimakusudi sheria za ununuzi, matumizi mabaya ya ofisi na kujipatia mali ya umma kinyume cha sheria. Kesi hiyo itatajwa tarehe 6 Februari mwaka 2024. Mahakama hiyo pia ilitoa vibali vya kutiwa mbaroni kwa maafisa wengine 5 ambao bado hawajakamatwa. Kwingineko, familia moja katika eneo la Harmony kwenye mtaa wa Kariobangi South sasa inaomba serikali na taasisi zake husika kuwajibikia usalama wao kutokana na nyaya za umeme zinazoning'inia ovyo katika maboma yao. Wametoa kauli hiyo baada ya mwana wao wa kiume kukatwa mkono kutokana na jeraha la kupigwa na umeme.
Ni familia ya kina Ndung'u. Kwenye picha hii ya kuvutia utadhani kila kitu kiko shwari, lakini ukimakinika zaidi utagundua kwamba mwanao wa miaka 8 Adrian Wangela ana jeraha la kuchomeka upande wa kulia wa uso kwenda chini. Kadhalika kichwa chake kina alama, ndio maana ameketi upande wa kulia wa babake. Hali inayokuzuia kuona pia kwamba hana mkono wa kulia, hali yake kwa mwaka mmoja sasa.
Tulisikia tu mlipuko, tukadhani tu ni transformer kawaida. Mimi pande yangu nilidhani ni transformer kawaida. Juu saa zingine transformer huwa zinalipuka. But within seconds nikasikia watu tena wamepiga nduru.
Jioni ya Alhamisi Januari tarehe 12 mwaka 2023, mamake Adrian alikuwa nyumbani kwao Kariobangi South akiwa amepakata mtoto mchanga wa mwezi mmoja. Naye babake Adrian alikuwa mita chache kwenye duka huku Adrian akicheza kwenye roshani. Ni wakati wa mchezo huo ambapo aliguza nyaya zinazoninginia ovyo katikati ya nyumba za sehemu hii ya Harmony mtaani Kariobangi South.
Kulingana na venye nilikuwa nasikia, stima ikiingia kwa mwili lazima ijaribu kutoka. Na wakati ilijaribu kutoka kwa kichwa haikutoka, so iliseparate nyama ya kichwa na skale. Ikakuwa sasa kichwa imefula kama barune. Kuna picha ziko hapo na sorry to say hizo picha sikuwahi kuonesha hata mama Adrian juu zilikuwa mbaya sana.
Adrian alipelekwa chumba cha upasuaji mara 4 katika hospitali ya kitaifa ya Kenyatta kupata afueni, ila kwa gharama kubwa. Kwa vile Adrian ameanza kuzoea mtindo mpya wa maisha yake, Ndung'u ameanza kuwazia anayefaa kuwajibika kisa cha kukatwa kwa mkono wa mwanawe.
Kuja kulia rais, kumbe mtoto mwingine ambaye ishapigwa na stima the same spot. Sasa hiyo waya ni high voltage. Sijui kwa nini kama ni watu wa Kenya Power hawakufanya ile kitu tunasemanga kama insulation
Jua kama hiyo ikiwa karibu inaweza fanya damage kubwa.
Kampuni ya Kenya Power inasema itahitaji kukagua mtandao wa nyaya hizo kubaini iwapo ziliunganishwa kwa njia za ukora. Hata hivyo, licha ya Kenya Power kukana kwamba inaripoti kuhusiana na kisa hicho, Mzee Ndung'u anasema kampuni hiyo ya umeme ilikata umeme mara moja punde baada ya tukio hilo.
Nienda pale Ruaraka na kwa bahati nilipata wakidiscuss hiyo issue ya Adrian au watu wa Kenya Power. So wakaniambia wamejua hiyo issue yote venye imeenda na wameforward hiyo maneno yote kwa timu yao ya safety.
Aidha, Kenya Power inasema ni wajibu wa serikali ya kaunti kulainisha mapito ya nyaya za umeme na kuhakikisha kwamba wajenzi wanazingatia kanuni za kutoa mijengo kwenye laini za nyaya za stima.
Kenya Power hawajawahi kuja kuniuliza ama mtoto anaendeleaje. Mwenye nyumba na yeye hata wakati mtoto alikuwa hospitali hajai hata mtu umekaa naye over 10 years hata hakuwahi piga simu aulize nimesikia so and so imehapenia mtoto wako, mtoto anaendeleaje. Mpaka yani hata ile utu sasa.
Sasa swali linasalia moja. Je, aliyetia maisha ya mtoto huyu wa miaka 8 hatarini ni nani? Ni Kenya Power, mmiliki wa nyumba, au ni serikali ya kaunti? Na atakayerekebisha nyaya hizo kuondoa hatari zaidi ni nani? Olive Barrows, NTV.
Na mtazamaji, tunatumai kwamba masuala haya yote ambayo Olive Barrows ameangazia yatakuwa yanaangaziwa ili kuweza tu kutatua hali hiyo na kupunguza hatari katika eneo hilo. Mtazamaji, tunaenda mapumzikoni, lakini kwanza tujifunze Kiswahili.
Katika neno la siku leo tunaangazia neno kishamia. Maana yake nguo ya kufunikia watu wanaofanya shughuli fulani. Mfano katika sentensi, wanaoendesha shughuli ya kuwazika wafu wa Kipalestina kwenye vita vya Gaza wanafunikwa kwa kishamia wakati wa ibada ya maziko.
Nivea Luminous visibly reduces dark spots. Does it really work? Trust me. For post-acne marks too? Of course! World's #1 anti-spot expert serum, now for post-acne dark marks and age spots. Visible results in just 2 weeks. That means also for my age spots. Already worked for over 1 million women. Nivea Luminous 630. It works.
The moment I feel my pain starting to fade, it's like I'm going back to myself on a really good day.
Panadol Extra releases you from strong pain. Panadol, release starts here.
Nimeget airtime.
Airtel Money inakuokolea.
Really?
Yes.
Aje?
Ukiwithdraw chapa kwa Airtel Money agent inakurudishia hiyo transaction fee kama airtime.
Auntie.
Karibu.
Shosho. Chiko. Nipotea.
Angalia hapo kwa buchari kanjia kako hapo.
Oh. Shosho.
Airtel Money makes your life kidogo better.
Na mtazamaji, shukrani sana kwa kuendelea kutazama taarifa zetu. Tukiangazia makuu ya leo mtazamaji, moja kwa moja, naibu rais akoma kesi ya Jaji Maina. Kumbuka kwamba alikuwa ameahidi kwamba atakuwa anawasilisha kesi dhidi ya Jaji Maina, na hivyo amesema kwamba sababu ambayo imemwelekeza kutowasilisha kesi hii, anasema kwamba kutakuwa na mazungumzo kati ya idara hiyo ya mahakama na Rais William Ruto. Kwa hivyo amepea nafasi tu mazungumzo hayo yafanyike kwanza ili aweze kuona iwapo ambapo kesi hii itakuwa inawasilishwa. Mtazamaji, tukisonga mbele, TSC yaondoa walimu shuleni kule Isongo. Kumbuka ni kaunti ya Kakamega ambapo wazazi katika shule hiyo walifanya maandamano na kumfurusha mwalimu mkuu wa shule hiyo. Kwa hivyo TSC kwa sasa imeondoa walimu 17 kutoka shule hiyo, ukisema kwamba usalama wa walimu katika shule hiyo sio sawa au wako hatarini. Na mwisho kabisa, washukiwa 95 wa Shakahola washtakiwa kesi ambayo imekuwa ikiendelea hii leo. Mtazamaji, washtakiwa hao wanashtakiwa kwa tuhuma za ugaidi na itikadi kali, na wote walikana mashtaka hayo dhidi yao. Mahakama imeamuru kwamba waendelee kusalia gerezani na imetupilia mbali ombi lao la dhamana. Mtazamaji, ni taarifa ambayo tutakuwa tunaendelea kufuatilia. Kumbuka kwamba ni taarifa ambayo inaendelea. Tukiendelea na taarifa zetu, majasusi kutoka Nairobi wanatarajiwa kuendeleza uchunguzi dhidi ya kifo tatanishi cha Laban Langat, daktari wa nyanjani aliyepatikana amefariki ndani ya hospitali ya rufaa ya Nakuru, kubaini kiini cha kifo chake. Hii ni baada ya wapelelezi wasioruhusiwa kuzungumza na wanahabari kudokeza kuwa uchunguzi unaangalia iwapo kifo cha Langat kilisababishwa na majeraha yaliyotokea baada ya kuanguka kwenye mtaro aliopatikana. NTV ilizungumza na watu wengine wawili waliotangamana na mwenda zake kabla ya kukumbana na mauti yake na kupata picha nyingine ya CCTV ikionyesha safari ya mwisho ya daktari huyo. Mwanahabari wetu Ruth Sarmoi ana mengi.
Baada ya Laban Langat kuondoka kwenye eneo la burudani huko London saa 6 na dakika 9, anavyoonekana kwenye picha hii ya CCTV, anadaiwa kutembea kutoka eneo hilo kwa takriban mita 700 anapoonekana kwenye picha hizi za CCTV iliyoko kwenye makutano ya kutoka Nakuru kuelekea Kabarnet na barabara ya ASK Showground. Ni saa 6 na dakika 21 Jumamosi tarehe 13. Laban anaonekana akielekea kituo hiki cha kujiburudisha ambapo anakutana na Emmanuel Cheruyot, mlinzi wa eneo hilo.
Akakuja akatuambia naenda medical. Sasa ile harakati ya kusema medical mimi nikadhani huyu anaenda kuona mgonjwa, sikuwa nimejua kama yeye ni daktari ama nini. Sasa nikadhani anaenda kuona mgonjwa, na ile harakati alikuwa amelewa, nikamwambia wewe fanyaje, tafuta pikipiki sababu hiyo njia ya kwenda hadi medical huwa ni giza.
Muda mchache baadaye Laban anaonekana akielekea kwenye barabara kisha kurejea alipokuwa Emmanuel kabla ya kurudi kwenye barabara na kuisimamisha pikipiki hii na kuiabiri.
Mtu wa kwanza alikuja na pikipiki, wakasikizana bei au kusikizana bei vizuri. Huyo akaenda. Sasa mimi nikasema huyo ana maybe pesa. Mimi sikuwa na shughuli tena. Nile nikaendelea tu na kazi yangu. After few minutes tu nikamwona ashapanda pikipiki akaenda. That's why the following day nikasikia ati aliuawa.
Tulizungumza na Dominic Yegon, mwanabodaboda aliyembeba.
Nilimpata akitoka Havana club, kamuuliza kazi kama anaenda. Akaniisharia tu kwamba haendi. Mimi nikaachana naye akaenda kwenye alikuwa anaenda. So mimi nikakaa like about some few minutes hapo, like 10 to 15 minutes. So on my way nikapatana naye. So mimi nikasimama. So wakati nilisimama nikapata ni kumbe the same game mwenye niuliza kazi pale akakataa. So akaniambia nimpeleke.
Tunarejelea safari hiyo ya mwisho ya mwenda zake alipopanda pikipiki kuelekea hospitalini. Dominic ananieleza kuwa Laban alikuwa mnyamavu katika safari hiyo ya takriban kilomita 1 kutoka makutano hiyo hadi hospitalini alikomshukisha. Tunalazimika kuacha pikipiki kwenye lango la kuingia wadi za hospitali hiyo kwa kuwa haziruhusiwi. Na baada ya kutembea kwa takriban mita 200, tunawasili katika eneo Dominic alikomshukisha daktari huyo.
Ulionyeshwa twende kuonyesha.
Laban anasemekana kutembea kuelekea hospitali ya kujifungua ya Margaret Kenyatta ambapo ni umbali wa takriban mita 100 kutoka eneo aliposhuka, mwili wake ukipatikana katika mtaro huu.
So mimi nikampeleka vizuri hadi huko kwenye alikuwa ananiambia tufike. So kufika hapo junction ya kwenda mochari na kwenda Margaret, akaniambia niachie hapa brother. So mimi nikaamua kumwachia hapo, ameniambia nimwachie, akanitumia pesa yangu na mimi nikajiendea. Mimi nilimwacha akienda direction ya Margaret. So kama alirudi akatana akaenda ile side nyingine, mimi labda nilikuwa nishaenda. Gate ziliingia tu taratibu, akaona aniuliza kitu.
Eneo hilo la mkasa ni chini ya mita 50 karibu na lango la kuingia kitengo hicho cha kujifungua. Japo Laban hakuwa kazini usiku huo, haifahamiki ni kwa nini alielekea upande wa juu wa hospitali hiyo licha ya barabara ya kuelekea makazi wanakoishi madaktari hospitalini ikiwa upande mwingine. Makachero hata hivyo wamesema kuwa kamera za CCTV hazikuwa zinafanya kazi, kinyume na ripoti iliyotolewa na uongozi wa hospitali hiyo wakidai kwamba rekodi za CCTV za usiku huo uliharibiwa. Ruth Sarmui, NTV, Nakuru.
Lakini sijui kama inaweza fikia madaktari.
Na tunatumai kwamba ukweli utabainika. Chama cha PAK kinachoongozwa na Spika wa Seneti Amason Kingi kimepata pigo leo baada ya maafisa kadhaa wakuu chamani humo kuhamia katika chama cha ODM. Katika hatua hiyo, wana-PAK kupaza sauti zao dhidi ya sera za chama chao na kuamua kula chungwa. Siasa za kaunti ya Kilifi zinatarajiwa kuchukua mkondo mpya. Waliojiunga na chama cha ODM walikaribishwa na kinara wa chama hicho na muungano wa Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Raila Odinga katika jumba la Chungwa House. Chama cha PAK kilijiondoa katika Azimio dakika za mwisho kabla ya uchaguzi mkuu na kujiunga na Kenya Kwanza, hatua iliyompa kinara wao Amason Kingi fursa ya kuteuliwa kuwa spika wa Seneti.
Sana kwa chama cha ODM na natumai kwa
mimi naona wale wengine sasa wamesema wanarudi. Ile ndoa haikuitika. Ndoa ile haikuitika. Sio? Sasa ile jamaa amerudi mpaka kule peke yake. Na mimi na furaha sana kwa mmekuja na hata kifunguo mmeleta.
Na tukifululiza hadi kaunti ya Busia, maafisa wa polisi katika eneo bunge la Butula kaunti hiyo ya Busia wamemkamata mwanamke mmoja mwenye umri wa miaka 22 kwa madai ya kuwa polisi bandia. Inadaiwa mwanamke huyo kwa jina Jacinta Auma, ambaye ni mzaliwa wa eneo la Bukiri, kaunti ndogo ya Samia, kaunti ya Busia, alikamatwa na maafisa wa usalama akiwa amevalia sare rasmi za kitengo cha GSU akielekea katika kituo cha polisi cha Butula. Inadaiwa mwanamke huyo amekuwa akizuru vituo mbalimbali vya polisi nchini kikiwemo kile cha Kabete hapa Nairobi. Mwanamke huyo amefikishwa katika mahakama ya Busia na kukiri kuzinunua sare hizo za GSU katika eneo la Viwandani Nairobi, huku nia yake kuu ikiwa ni kujulikana na raia kuwa yeye ni askari.
So pending investigation, she will be detained at Bumala Police Station for 21 days. Mention will be on 8th February 2024.
Na mtazamaji, tunaenda mapumzikoni na rejea na taarifa zaidi. Tulia papo hapo.
When you're finally released from pain, that moment when you start to get back to ordinary, and ordinary feels amazing. Whatever pain you're going through, release starts here.
Stand a chance to win a trip for 2 to Diani, or a dinner for 4, or a year's freshness package with a new Nivea Fresh Deo. It's easy. Just buy any Nivea Fresh Deo, submit the receipt on WhatsApp to 0712 044 544 and enjoy exciting prices. Terms and conditions apply.
It's Friday and things are looking a bit boring. Fanta. Submit to the fizziest of fizz. Surrender to a bubbly bliss. Fall for the tangiest of tangs. Succumb to the flavor frenzy. Fanta. Indulge with a sip and snack.
It's time to get stepping. Step up to your most loved content and enjoy the next level upgrade for free.
Respect that.
Upgrade now and step up to even more action. Step up to more football. Step up to more local drama. Step up to more fun and get more than you pay for. Upgrade now and get boosted to the next package for free. Dial *423# or call 0711 066 000 and upgrade to the next level for free.
Makinika sasa tudunde nyugani haraka upesi. Nita Yoshua Makori, bingwa wa mbio za nyika duniani na mshikilizi wa rekodi ya kilomita 5 ulimwenguni Beatrice Chebet ndiye mwanaspoti bora kabisa wa mwezi uliopita wa Disemba. Chebet ametuzwa na muungano wa wanahabari wa michezo humu nchini SJAC kwa ushirikiano mkubwa na kampuni ya LG. Bingwa huyo wa Jumuiya ya Madola katika mbio za mita 5000 alivunja rekodi ya dunia ya kilomita 5 alipokimbia kwa muda dakika 14 na sekunde 13 katika mashindano ya Cursa dels Nasos yaliyofanyika huko Barcelona nchini Hispania mwishoni mwa mwaka jana. Hii ni mara ya pili kwa nyota huyu mwenye umri wa miaka 22 kutuzwa na SJAC baada ya kung'aa Februari mwaka jana, na ametuzwa mashine ya kufua ya thamani ya shilingi zaidi ya $100,000.
Pia ningependa kusema asante kwa support yenye nilipata since nianze January season yangu ya cross country. Nikakuja nikapata LG pia ya TV on February ya World Cross Country, and then leo nimewadiwa pia ya World Cross ya 5K road running ya world record in Barcelona. So ningependa tu kusema asante. Hiyo ni ku at least kutumotivate muendelee hivyo kusaidia watu kwa sports.
Nayo maandalizi yote yamekwisha kukamilika kwa ajili ya mchujo wa mashindano ya riadha ya kuteua timu ambayo itaiwakilisha Kenya katika Olimpiki ya walemavu huko Paris, Ufaransa baadaye mwaka huu. Zaidi ya timu 11 kutoka kaunti mbalimbali zimeshawasili huko Eldoret, kaunti ya Uasin Gishu, tayari kwa mchujo huo ambao utafanyika katika uwanja wa Kipchoge Keino kuanzia hapo kesho.
So far 11 counties zimeshawasili. Kiwapo the host Uasin Gishu, Nairobi, Embu, Narok, Bomet, Kericho, Nandi na Samburu. So tuna expect county zingine kama 6. So in total tuna expect karibu county 18, 19 na over 300 athletes ambao watashiriki kwa track and field events. Sisi tunategemea serikali almost 100%, na serikali huwa inatusponsor wakati tuko na michezo za kuenda ng'ambo. Na wakati tulipokuwa tunaenda World Championships, serikali ilitusimamia 100%. Na tulikuwa na kambi ya wiki moja. Though tungependelea tukue na kambi ya maybe wiki 3 ili tuweze kuprepare teams vizuri.
Nyambura Karaoke ni mwingi wa imani kwamba tang'aa katika makala ya kwanza ya mashindano ya paragliding ya kimataifa ya Kenya Open ambayo yatafanyika huko Naivasha ndani ya kaunti ya Nakuru kati ya Januari 21 na 27 mwaka huu. Nyambura ambaye amekuwa akijanua makali yake katika mlima wa Kijabe tayari kunyakulia Kenya nishani ndiye anatupambia makala yetu ya jungu kuu la spoti. Nyambura Karaoke ni mwanaspoti ambaye anapenda spoti tofauti.
And I am a passionate paraglider. Other than other sports, I'm an avid sports lady. Play golf, tennis, but paragliding is my thing. This is what just wants me to wake up. If you tell me we're going paragliding, pack up and come.
Nyambura mwenye umri wa miaka 45 alikuwa na mahaba ya paragliding akiwa ngali msichana mdogo.
So, how did I start? From a young age, I grew up with boys and used to do extreme stuff, trying pole vaulting, making sacks to try and fly. And I wished one day I would be a bird and have a bird's eye view. And here I am.
Nyota huyu amekuwa rubani wa paragliding kwa miaka 4 sasa, akijiburudisha na kushiriki mashindano kadhaa.
It's been a journey because since I found out about paragliding, I was a young mom. So I had to pause it a bit and take care of my children. Now they can take care of themselves, be in school the whole day. So like today, I mean, drop them to school, snack for a flight, be back for pickup. For those 4 years, it's been an awesome journey because I mean, I went to certify in Cape Town in the year 2020. 2021 we had a festival and I was a champion that year. It was quite exhilarating, and then I went to India to advance. I am now a certified tandem pilot, but I'm yet to get there. I haven't done the mileage. This is it. I love paragliding. I love being in the air. I love being a bird, you know, in colors, just looking at creation from above there. It's beautiful.
Na ukiwa huko juu, nini unafikiria?
When I'm in the air, it's me and God. We vibe. We talk. I am like, oh God, this is beautiful. Honestly, when I'm up there, I think about nothing else other than just looking and enjoying the view. It's a way to, you know how Nairobi traffic is. You just want to be in the air and you're like, I wish I could be flying to work and wherever else. Yeah, so for me, that's my mode of transport.
Nyambura anasema paragliding haina hatari yoyote kwa washiriki.
Paragliding is one of the safest sports in the world. And most of the accidents that have happened, because they have happened, are actually the pilot's fault. Our gliders are done to international standards, safest standards. It is very hard to have a collapse in the air. It is one of the safest sports. And 1 in 1,000 accidents that we've had, mostly are the pilot's fault.
Lakini gharama yake ni ya juu.
The initial investment is a bit expensive because the least you can get a good equipment is about 3,000 euros. Add the training, because we haven't had a training school in Kenya, but we have made milestones. We've had very good partnerships with Sky Nomad Bulgaria. They've come, they've trained our local pilots. The local boys who started like me, but they don't have the financial capacity. So they would park for them when they fly in different sites, show interest, and they've gotten equipment through donations and stuff like that.
Nyambura anajiona mbali ndani ya mwongo mmoja ujao.
4 years ago, I was asked where I want to be. I said I would want to have many lady pilots. The good thing is we have we have 4 Kenyan pilots. One of them being my daughter, who I took to India. She trained, and she's a pilot. Unfortunately, she's not here. So we're building a team. In 10 years, we'll have a training school. We will hold competitions in the country, international, Federation of Aviation International Standards. And we have a pre-world qualification coming up. So that's a good thing. And I am proud to have put Kenya on the map.
Kabumbu sasa, na ni kwamba waziri wa michezo Babu Namwamba amesema ukarabati wa uwanja wa kimataifa Buhongo, kaunti ya Kakamega utakamilika wakati unaofaa ili kuandaa dimba la CHAN mnamo Septemba mwaka huu. Babu aliyasema hayo alipozuru uwanja huu na kufanya kikao na gavana wa kaunti ya Kakamega Fernandez Baraza. Awamu ya mwisho ukarabati itagharimu shilingi milioni 1.4 na itachukua kipindi cha miezi 4 ijayo.
This is a collaboration effort that we have been talking about, and we are going to work very closely with the national government to ensure that this stadium is completed, and of course going forward is going to be now the center of sporting events in the Western region.
The national government is working closely with the county government here, led by His Excellency Fernandez Baraza, governor of this great county. And our collaboration is about completing Buhungu Stadium to international status. We have made this clear before that this stadium is important in the general frame or the general ecosystem of sports in the country.
Tutoke nyumbani tuende katika himaya ya mataifa na ni kule Ivory Coast, na ni kwamba Equatorial Guinea imeitandika Guinea Bissau mabao 4-2 katika uwanja wa Lassana Ouattara mjini Abidjan katika pambano la kundi A la kuwania taji la taifa bingwa barani Afrika makala 34 yanayoendelea nchini Ivory Coast. Nsue alipachika kimiani magoli 3 na aliweka Equatorial Guinea ngozini dakika 21 kabla ya Orozco kujifunga na kuikombolea Guinea Bissau dakika 37. Miranda alirejesha Equatorial Guinea kifo mbele katika dakika 46 kabla Muungano wa gofu nchini KGU umezindua mashindano ya kimataifa ya pairs ya mwaka huu katika hafla ambayo ilifanyika uwanja wa Limuru Country Club, kaunti ya Kiambu. Shindano la kwanza litafanyika Jumamosi hii kwenye uga wa Vetilab Sports Club.
We are very excited about how we finished last year. For the second year running, we had a Kenyan team finishing second at the international finals, which were held in Portugal. So this year we are beginning with Vetlab Sports Club, which is the first event in the series of 10 qualifying events. The Vetlab event will be happening on the 20th of January and followed thereafter by the next event at Royal Nairobi on 3rd of February, and Sigona Golf Club will host the third qualifier. So we have 10 clubs, and we wish to thank all the golf clubs that have volunteered to host a qualifier event.
Sasa nimesha dunda na kuibia siri kwamba katika maisha kama unachukia kushindwa, haufai kuwa na roho nyepesi, haufai kukata tamaa. Watu ambao wameshafanikiwa katika maisha wao wana roho ngumu sana na sio rahisi kukubali matokeo na kukata tamaa. Mimi na wewe tena kutiana kwenye mboni ni aliye juu akiridhia. Kwa sasa kuwa na usiku mwanana.
Na shukrani sana Yoshua Makori mtazamaji, shukrani sana kwa muda wako na kwa wote waliofanikisha taarifa hizi, shukrani sana. Naitwa Nuru Abdulaziz, mwenzangu wa ishara ni David Agondoa. Alamsiki.
This is NTV.
Step up to more fun and get more than you pay for. Upgrade now and get boosted to the next package for free. Dial *423# or call 0711 066 000 and upgrade to the next level for free.
Wing of bat and foot of crow, eagle's egg and seagull's toe, bits of wasp and ooze of fly. Soon I too can reach the sky.
Mom, are you still busy cooking?
You are welcome to come and help me a bit, Freya.
Oh, Mother, there's no helping you anymore, don't you know? Red Bull gives you wings.
Cars with Big Boy Trev is back. All the latest reviews from across the world. From premium brands that redefine luxury and performance to rugged commercial vehicles built to take on any challenge. Discover expert tips on car care and maintenance, and of course explore the future with electric vehicles changing the way we drive. Sit back and relax and buckle up with the ride of your life. Premiering this January on NTV.
You can set yourself up for that kind of life and you will have it and you'll be happy. But then something can happen right here. And something can take over you called divine acceleration. And then all of a sudden what is happening to you, people cannot get, they cannot fathom. You are in an environment where naturally you should not rise up. But then there's a force. The scripture says that it even makes your enemies bless you.
Wing of bat and foot of crow, eagle's egg and seagull's toe, bits of wasp and ooze of fly. Soon I too can reach the sky.
Mom, are you still busy cooking?
You are welcome to come and help me a bit, Freya.
Oh, Mother, there's no helping you anymore, don't you know? Red Bull gives you wings.
We always talk about our youth population in Africa, and it has been like a slogan where people would say in the different conferences that Africa has the youngest population in the world. But if we don't educate our youth, that youth will become a burden instead of becoming, good citizens. So we need to talk about education in Africa and talk about quality education to have skilled population in Africa, so that that skilled population can be linked to the market, to produce, to trade, and so that we can now talk about African prosperity.
NTV, turning on your world. The following program has been rated PG. It may contain scenes unsuitable for children under the age of 10.